maybe what I could do, Trent, actually is just maybe just get everyone to introduce this name and what sort of area we're coaching in, just so that we have that those out there loop. But I'll hand it over to you to lead that, Trent.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
So first off, this is a discussion, not a lecture. We're here to have a discussion, and I'm not here to lecture you. So just before we start with our little sort of introductions, Basketball Taranaki have come up with the concept that our job is to make life easier on these guys here, the players. So New Zealand has a national style of play, which is what they are trying to implement throughout the country, where everybody plays a certain way. And different regions stylistically play in different ways. Those of you that have been in the rec program will know that Waikato basketball has a distinct style of how Waikato basketball play. And if you were playing a Waikato team, you'd be very much aware of what you would have to prepare for. We're trying to get to a stage where our region, Taranaki, has a style of play. The best thing for that is, as these kids go from 13s to 15s to 17s, stylistically they're being taught the same things, they're being advanced on that. There is no point me spending a whole year teaching them French, and then when they change teams, they're like, right, we're on Spanish. I'm like, well, hold on, we're just spending a year doing French. Why can't I learn more French? Instead of having to start off in Spanish. This whole concept is designed around creating a style of play. So we've got a coaching network, and we want to do a bunch of these seminars around the province, broaching subjects that will help stylistically coaches coach their players. So the first one we came up with was phases of the shot clock. So the New Zealand basketball system has phases of the shot clock. When these kids go to a camp, they will be taught about what to do and what phases of the shot clock. So that's sort of where we're headed today. So we're going to do a real quick introduction, and then I'm going to get on to that. So my name's Trent. I coach basketball from this level to this level. I have children that play the game, so I was involved in mini ball, and I've been away with the New Zealand select team on a tour to China. So I've sort of done absolutely everything in between. And when I do these things, I'm mindful of all of those levels and try to create a system that each level can get something out of. So that's who I am. Go.
Hauraki here. I've coached primary school, PCB in the 15s and the 30s, and that then wanted to develop my coaching, and that learn more in the coaching area of basketball.
Cool.
Mark Tito from here. I play basketball ever since I was in primary school, just above the game. I have a 5-year-old now that's trying to encourage him to, and I just want to be a part of that upbringing and trying to help the younger ones too as well, and make them lucky to build a powerhouse in the basketball team.
Leroy, from a Taranaki, I coached at an intermediate age group, under 15s and 17 boys. I'm a player, I'm getting a bit old, and it's,
What?
Oh, sorry.
No, because Boots is here. He's like, well, hold up, if you're old, what is it?
Getting a little bit old, so the body's not handling it as well as it used to, so, pretty keen to share some experiences. I've got a boy that plays boys high as well, so that helps.
Yeah, Alan Smith, from right out the coast. Don't really have much basketball coaching background, but I come from a professional boxing background where I coach professional boxers for a living. I'm not doing that anymore because it's a bit too hard on the body. But yeah, I have a daughter that plays basketball as well, so I just want to sort of amp up Taranaki a little bit more and pass it on through Harbour and Stratford, because I'm the Vice President of Stratford Basketball Association as well, so just trying to put some more tools in the belt and help out where I can.
I coach the opening basketball fields because I have a sister there and then another sister coming this year, and then I've coached one of the coach because I don't really play anymore.
Milton, done a bit of coaching, various other sports, and a bit of basketball. Yeah, got kids coming through, so
Kids going through.
yeah, it's started pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's the society we live in, kids coming through. If I don't do, then maybe it doesn't get done now, maybe our kids miss out, that's where we're at.
Pretty much,
Yeah, Graham Mertens, most people know me as Mertz. Been coaching for many years, trying to. Started with a high school B team back in '94, I think it was. And been coaching pretty much every year since, just in age groups and para rep teams and TCB, and I'm back at the high school with the senior boys.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe just get each of the players, let's get us your names, and maybe the age group.
I'm Jasmine and I play for
I'm Peyton and I have fun in girls.
Isaac and I play for
Well, we're a point guard. Head up, speak loud, say it again. No, loud.
My name's Will and I play for My name's Will and I play for My name's Will and I play
Well, good job. Cool, thanks. So we are having this discussion based around if our whole region speaks to the kids in the same language, then there's going to be less confusion for the kids. And whatever we do, we want to put the kids at the forefront because that's why we're doing it. Phases of the shot clock is a thing that exists. And if you go to a New Zealand camp, they will discuss phases of the shot clock for you. And so we thought the very first point we could start with is having a discussion around phases of the shot clock and what efficiency means in different points of the shot clock. I have a friend, Zico, who's a very, very talented coach, and his description of this was, I felt, the best description of this. Will's going to come and see me, and I've got an iPhone 13, an iPhone 10, and an iPhone 8. I'm just going to hand him an iPhone, and he gets to look at the iPhone, and at any point he can walk away from an iPhone or he can hand it back to me, and I will hand him another phone. And I'm just going to keep handing him phones back and forth until he's happy with the phone that he has, and then he'll leave with said phone. With no time constraint, what phone does he leave the store with? An iPhone 13, the best phone available, correct? I hand him an iPhone 8, he looks at that and goes, oh, that's all right, but there's an iPhone 13 sitting there, so I'm going to hand that back to you. And I'm going to keep handing him phones. So he's going to leave the store with an iPhone 13, because there is no time constraint, he can just keep handing his phones back and forth. However, once you put a time constraint on, things start to change. Because although he wants an iPhone 13, he can't leave without an iPhone. He has to take an iPhone. So I hand him an iPhone 8, and he hands it back to me. And I hand him an iPhone 10, and he hands it back to me. Now there's only 5 or 6 seconds left, and I hand him an iPhone 8 again. What's he probably going to do? He's going to hold that one. Because he doesn't, if I give that back, I may not get anything out of this. So therefore, time pressure changes what you value. And if there is no time pressure, you just find the most valuable thing you can find. And if there is time pressure, you then think about, well, I know that's a little bit better, but if I don't take this, I'm going to end up with nothing. So then my question to you is, when you are looking at shots, what is an iPhone 13, what is an iPhone 10, and what is an iPhone 8? And understanding the pressure that puts on. I have information available to me. This is a shot chart based on, the first page is based on New Plymouth Boy, the Mountaineers. The second page is based on New Plymouth Boys High School. So this is a shot chart. So this is a shot chart. and it tells you the percentage that that team shot in different areas of the court. So if you look at the top page of the Mountaineers, they shot 56% on paint 2s. So a 2-point shot's worth 2 points. They got 56%, so if they took 100 shots, they would have scored 112 points off of those 100 shots. The 3-pointer is worth 3 points. That is worth 34%, so therefore if they took 100 shots, they would have scored 102 points for those 100 shots. And then that mid-range 2 is worth 2. They shot that at 33%, so they would have scored 66 points per 100 possessions. So if you look at that shot chart there, in the paint they would have scored 112 points. From 3 they would have scored 102 points. From long 2 they would have scored 66 points. Based on that, what is an iPhone 13, what is an iPhone 10, and what is an iPhone 8?
56% is 13.
Yeah. So taking a shot inside the kitty was an iPhone 13. The most value we had was 112 points per 100. The iPhone 10 is the 3, and the iPhone 8 is the 2.
So is this scale for points?
This is percentage, so we shot 630 shots inside the key.
Yeah, but it's not scale for points, is it?
What do you mean, scale?
Times is by 2, so 56 times 2 is 112.
No, what I mean by 3.1 is you've got your percentage will change. 3 points instead of 2 points.
Yes, yeah, that is scale to points. Yes, so we shot 34% on 3s. And because it's worth 3, I've got a more detailed one on the next one to show you on that. If I took 100 shots at 34% on 3s, I would get 102 points from those from that 34 percentage.
Yeah, but the one is not scaled to the same. That's 56, because that puts it at 50, and then you say 1/3.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Cool, so therefore an iPhone 13 is a paint score. Going back to our iPhone store, if you were ever handed a paint score, no matter where in the shot clock, you would take it, correct? It's the most valuable shot you could possibly get in this instance. So if that paint score provided itself in the first 4 seconds, you would take that, because we realise we can't get anything better than that iPhone 13. But if you're playing in transition and an iPhone 8 presents itself, should you take that in the first 4 seconds? Efficiently, no, because of exactly that. Well, if I be patient, I could get this opportunity. So then the New Zealand framework works on 8 seconds, 8 seconds, and 8 seconds. The first 8 seconds, if we can explain to our kids, this is the type of shot or the iPhone we are looking for, hunt these iPhones as much as you can in those first 8 seconds. Now in the second 8 seconds, you're not quite in transition, so you now might be running a half court set or whatever. We're still looking for an iPhone 13, but if a real good iPhone 10 presents itself, then we can probably accept that iPhone 10 because we realise the shot is changing here a little bit. Now in these last 8 seconds, we have to leave the store with an iPhone. So now if an iPhone 8 presents itself, we're probably going to take that, because if I don't take a shot, that's a shot clock violation, it's a turnover, we leave the store with no shot clock. Does that make sense? So when you are dealing with your kids, the very first thing you want to do is talk about shot selection and what we are trying to garnish from different phases. So this is men's level. The next page is boys high, and it is fairly similar. They shot the 3 at 31% instead of 34%. So therefore, if they had 100 possessions, they would end up on, was that 93? 93 points per 100 possessions. I can tell you, you've got an elite offense. An elite offense, if you score at about 115 to 120 points, per 100 possessions. That would make you like Golden State Warriors, like really, 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 really good. And obviously if you're down in the 90s, that's very, very inefficient, and you're scoring less points than shots you're taking, and by and large you're going to have negative results. Also taking into consideration, this is, once again, I'll just use the Golden State Warriors because that is a team that people are aware. I'll shift, sorry. So the NBA breaks their shot clock up into 6 parts of a shot clock. And for the point of this, I grouped 2. They worked on the first 6 seconds of a shot clock. If the Golden State Warriors shot the ball in the first 6 seconds, regardless of what shot they took, they shot the ball at 53%. If they then used the next 10 seconds of the shot clock, regardless of what they shot it at 48%. The Golden State Warriors, which is this unbelievably elite offensive team, if they shot the ball in the last 8 seconds, regardless of what shot they took, they shot the ball at 35%. So if they took a shot early, regardless of what it was, 53% of the time it went in. 48% of the time it went in. 35% of the time it went in. And we would all establish that Golden State is this high-end sort of offensive team. The later they got on the shot clock, the worse they are. And that's then. I can imagine our 8-year-old boys might be a little bit similar as far as what is efficiency. So, you're going to have a team. The very, very first thing you have to do is to try to establish to them what we are trying to do in these first 8 seconds. What we're trying to do in the next 8 seconds, what we're trying to do in the last 8 seconds. And your groups are going to have different iPhone 13s at different ages for your group. Your goal is for them to understand what they're trying to do in the first 8 seconds. What are we trying to get? Now the problem with the Mountaineers is if we say that an iPhone 13 is a paint score, where does everybody go? To the paint. Now what can't you do? You can't score because everybody's standing in the paint. If you tell kids that all they can do is shoot paint shots, then when they're under 17 and under 19, you're going to be complaining because all they can do is shoot paint shots. They can't shoot anything else. So a traditional New Zealand concept, the first 8 seconds, the most efficient thing you can do on a basketball court is get fouled. That is the most efficient thing you can possibly do. Nothing's more efficient than being fouled. So they will tell you, get fouled, shoot a layup, shoot a corner 3. Corner 3s are more valuable than normal 3s because it's closer, and you get 3 points from there instead of here, and it's normally shot at a higher percentage. So they're going to say that although we've broken the court up into paints, statistically speaking, it's uber efficient, uber efficient.
It's the shortest distance to the basket.
Just don't have that backboard to save it.
So then you can see the court gets broken up into more. So although the paint score for them, I'll just use the Mountaineers, but it's on the front page. The paint score was 56%. When I break the paint up into quadrants, deep paint, as in right near the rim, was now at 61 and 57%. So that's now getting even higher, versus the getting further out in the paint, that's now only at 50 and 42%. So it changes on how deep we were in the paint. 3-pointers changed, so Corner threes, they were at 35 and 34%, which is efficient. The right elbow, they were super inefficient. Straight on, they were really, really, really efficient. So we sort of started to break this up. So now you've got this team and you've said, right, the best shots you can possibly take is a paint, a corner three, or a foul. So when you tell your...
So when you say foul, you mean foul and you're shooting?
Okay. And just drawing the foul.
Just drawing the foul?
Drawing fouls, uber efficient, because eventually drawing fouls gets you to shooting free throws.
Yeah.
If you were bad at shooting free throws, and you shot 50%, that still works out to be 100 points per 100 possessions. And 50% shooting is poor. So now if you're at 60% shooting, that's now 120 points per 100 possessions, shooting free throws as a 60% shooter. So once again, now you're getting super, super efficient in what we're doing. So you've got to come up with these rules about what shot should we be looking for, but being mindful of the rule exists for everybody in your team. Normally when you make rules, you envision your good people taking those shots. So let's take the New Zealand system. The New Zealand system says corner threes are valuable, and they want everybody to shoot those corner threes. So when you tell, I have to deal with some 12-year-old boys at the moment, and you tell a 12-year-old boy that he's allowed to shoot that shot, it's the only shot he's going to shoot, and it doesn't matter if he's open. And it doesn't matter if he misses 150 straight. He is oblivious to the efficiency of what he's shooting. So you've got a game, you have a centre who is a very good centre, not a great shooter. You play defence, they run a ball screen, you switch. So now your centre is marking the opposition guard. She has to give, or he has to give space because I'm a little bit slow. They shoot a three, boom, you're now down three. Your big person sprints to a corner because you've emphasised sprinting to a corner. You make one quick pass to the corner. You've said that a corner three is an iPhone 13. So that person just jacks up the first shot available to them because it's an iPhone 13 and you've said, so you missed that. They come back down, they run the same ball screen, they pick and pop that, you give up another wide open shot, your big runs to that corner again, takes that iPhone 13 again because you've said it's an iPhone 13, they miss that again. What are you going to do? Well, they haven't broken any of your rules. They've shot a shot that you know is going to be valuable, but right now you are hurting us as a group. So I was dealing with my son when he was at intermediate age, which is, let's say that's under 13. And I'm aware that for them to be good at basketball, they have to be able to shoot threes. So I have to allow them to shoot threes, because eventually it's going to be important. But if you just come down and make one quick pass and shoot it, then we're not going to build a culture of success either, because we aren't efficient at shooting that shot. So what rules can I put in place that encourages them to take efficient shots, but also understands the value of moving the ball, and we aren't just taking cracked iPhone 13s instead of a brand new iPhone 10. So we put a rule in place that you can take a paint pressure 3 that we generate. A paint pressure 3 is somehow we put pressure on the paint. That could be with a pass as somebody cuts. We threw it to them, they overhelped, we passed it back out to the 3-point line, and then we just lived with those consequences. It could be a dribble into the paint, collapse the defense, kick it out, live with those consequences. It could be we ran a ball screen, our big person dove to the rim, that sucked everybody in, we threw it to the backside, live with those consequences. So just be aware when you're coming up with rules about what shots your team should hunt, be aware it's a rule, and you can't then tell them off for taking a shot that's inside of their rule. So at a high level, you say take corner threes. At a slightly lower level, you may say take paint pressure threes. So my rule with them was If they took a three, I told them off. If they generated a three, as in they did something that actually caused the defense to move, then I will live with O of 109. Do you know what I mean? I won't say anything that they generated that three by moving the ball and attacking it and doing separate things. But if you just came down and took a three just because you wanted to take a three because Johnny took a three last time, then you're going to probably come and sit like me. And that was at under, I'd say 13s, like bottom age 15s, top age 13s level. I'm like, right, I have to be able to shoot threes. Most of you will know Aaron Bailey, auntie that plays for the Mountaineers. His son is 10, and he can shoot threes. So what rule can we put in place that would allow him to carry on shooting threes, because shooting threes is valuable, but also understanding as a 10-year-old we don't want him to get carried away and just jacking up as many shots as you can. So now you're talking to your team and you are saying, right, this is what we value. Always value layups. iPhone 13s are layups. But in order to get that layup, you may have to value another part of the floor, so as your players run to that part, which will then open up the lane for you to go where you want to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was in his son played in a team. The coach told them they were only allowed to shoot inside the key. So what do 9-year-old boys want to do? They want to shoot. And if I'm only allowed to shoot inside the key, where do they all stand? Inside the key. Because that's the only place I can shoot, and I want to shoot, so I go stand there. Now, who gets to shoot the ball? No one, because there's 56 people inside the key. So you are trying to understand efficiencies in basketball and what are you going to allow and what you aren't. So corner threes are efficient. If you look at the Mountaineers shot chart, the most valuable thing we did was straight on three. That's at 38%. So that 38%, that is now 3 8 to 24. That's 114 points per 100 possessions. So that's actually better than our normal paint scores. That was a very, very good shot for us. I can tell you, because I coached then, that was part of an offensive play that wouldn't come in the first 8 seconds. It came through moving the ball. But it would infuriate me that we wouldn't get to that part of the offense, knowing it was super, super efficient for us, yet we would take an iPhone 10, knowing there was an iPhone 13 right behind us, but they didn't have the efficiency to sort of think, oh, if I'm just a little bit more patient, I'll get that. So we'll get back to that in a second. So all of you are going to coach at a level, but if we all tell our kids, this is what we are trying to get on offense, so they all know what a good shot is. So Isaac's from here. Isaac's a bit of a people pleaser, likes to please people. So if you tell him that we want to get paint scores, and he knows that at the start of the year, do you know what he's going to try and do? He's going to try and get paint scores. Because you've told him that this is what we're trying to get. So my son, surprisingly, has been with me my whole life. When he was younger, we talked about just paint scores. We had the greatest inbounds play ever when he ran from a 7-year-old to a 13-year-old, which was everybody on offense standing outside the 3-point line. So nobody standing inside the key. Whoever's person looked at the ball, that person cut to the lane, shoot a lap. That was it. And it took me ages to get them all to stand outside the 3-point line. Like, stand here, because we want to score there. If you stand there, we can't score. So all of you get outside the 3-point line. If any one of your defenders looks at the ball, you cut, you get a lap. That's it. And that was our inbounds play from his entire primary school. Was standing outside the 3-point line. I don't care who, but as soon as one of your defenders looks at the ball, you cut. That's it. Shoot a lap. Shoot a lap, shoot a lap. How you construct layups matters. Rules matter. There was the first NBL game this year was the Franklin Bulls played the Auckland Huskies. Franklin Bulls are up 94-91, and they get a defensive stop with 1:10 left on the shot clock. 1:10. Frampton Bulls were very much a shoot corner threes team. 3-point game, 1:10 to go, their ball. With 1:08 to go, it was still a 3-point game, but it was now Auckland Huskies' ball. Why? Because somebody sprinted to the corner, somebody kicked the ball ahead, and the worst shooter on the team took the shot that they'd been told was a valuable shot. So now your worst shooter is taking a shot in a very, very important part of the game. It's a 1-possession game with 1:10 to go. With 1:10 to go, it's a 4-possession game. You get the last possession. You get it. And he gave all of that up because he took this shot that they had said was valuable, but context matters. The best thing when you're up 3 with 1:10 to go is to use as much of the clock as possible and get the best shot you can get. Slow down, but they were caught up in this style of play. So he didn't break a rule. But once again, you put that rule in place, always envisioning your best person taking those shots. And it's not those things. So that matters. The next thing that matters is you've got this concept, and humility matters as well, and that changes through our age groups. I coached an under 15 team at Hoop Nation, and our team valued corner threes. So we were very much a shoot corner threes, shoot corner threes, shoot corner threes. One of the kids was shooting corner threes effectively because I was telling him he had to shoot corner threes. He was self-aware enough to sort of realise, well, there's actually kids on my team that are better at shooting these shots than I am. And I could see him shooting this shot more, not because he thought it was going in, more because he just said I made him shoot. So I called a timeout, and I could see that he had enough humility to go, well, I'm not the best at this, and I do other things better. So I said, you have to shoot corner threes, you have to shoot corner threes. However, if you aren't going to shoot corner threes, you have to do this thing. So I then gave him another solution. He then went and did this other solution, and he got 2 layups back to back out of it. He had enough humility to sort of go, I know we're supposed to shoot this, but that kid's better at shooting than I am, and if I'm shooting it, it lessens our chances. I've realised today that 13-year-old boys and 12-year-old boys don't have that humility. They will shoot that shot. Shoot it and shoot it and shoot it, and they will be oblivious to the fact that the other team's giving out awards and you're getting MVP for their team because you've helped their team award. You know what I mean? So just be aware of that. What is an iPhone 13 in your particular group? It's always layups, it's always getting fouled, and it's something else. Because that something else is then going to allow them to get layups. You might say it's a mid-range shot, which at a high level isn't efficient, but at a younger level could be. You know what I mean? We want to get these types of things just to spread it a little bit more. The last thing you have to realise is in the last 8 seconds, what gives you the best chance to still get an iPhone 13? There's not much, there's now time pressure. And this is purely personnel based. So you can have a system for the first 8 seconds. We're just playing fast, we're doing this. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a minute. We're doing this. In the last 8 seconds, it's probably going to be about who's actually on your team. If you have a massive, huge centre that's bigger than everybody else, you may say, right, we're going to throw the ball in there. That person's either going to score or a double team's going to come and then that person will find the open person and we'll just take the best shot we can take out of that. But that one person is going to create openings for other people. You might have a phenomenal athlete that can just get to the rim. So you can be like, I want to give that person the ball, give them plenty of space, let them attack. And then if help comes, we find an open shot. If help doesn't come, we score. You might have a point guard that's really, really talented. Go, cool, we're just going to run a ball screen. When we run the ball screen, they'll send help. When they send help, we find the open person, we take the best shot we can. So effectively, you've got this system that's going to allow you to orchestrate what you do at the start of the shot clock. You're going to have personnel that's going to allow you to do what's best for you at the end of the shot clock. Then, as a coach, how do you marry those two things up? How do I get from this system that then gets us to this person and gives me as many bytes as an iPhone 13 as possible? You know what I mean? Because you don't want to go, right, I want an iPhone 13, I didn't get it, cool, I'm just going to take an iPhone 8. I want an iPhone 13, I didn't get it, cool, but now I've got another chance. Okay, I didn't get that chance. Okay, I've got another chance, I didn't get that chance. Right, now I'm going to take this shot. But the offense I constructed or worked on allowed me to do as many bytes out of the period as possible. So that is spacing to corners, that is getting some type of paint pressure and then playing out of that. Does that all make sense? I'm just going to put on Simone here a little bit. Simone coaches the Open Eki City girls. So she's sort of aware of who's on her team and she's going to build a rapport with these people and an understanding of who they are. So I'm now going to ask you, in the last 8 seconds, what gives your best, who gives you the best option to get the best iPhone 13 possible? What do you do? Drive to the room. So she's like, right, I've got a good, who does that? Okay, cool. So I've got 2 good wings. The best thing we can do late shot clock is give one of them the ball. I imagine giving one of them the ball with space and then allowing them to attack, and then you just live with the consequences. They either get to the rim, we're happy. If help comes, they throw it to the open person. That person gets a wide open shot, we're happy. And based on how the defense reacts, if they don't help and Anna gets to the rim, that's probably considered an iPhone 13. If help comes and we've got to throw it to somebody else, it's probably an iPhone 10, but it's a wide open shot, and an iPhone 10 is better than no iPhone at all. So based on her personnel, she thinks the best thing she can possibly do is just attack. So therefore, she would be mindful of creating an offense that allows space for Anna to attack, if it was Anna in that instance. So why doesn't she do that for the whole game?
Why doesn't she?
Yeah.
He's got tied up the paper. I was sort of thinking about the game to explain it. The game could be completely different to what she wants to do in the last 8 seconds.
Yeah, there is a chance that Anna's, the people playing Anna are bigger and stronger than her, so now that won't work. Do you know why you're going to do it? I don't know why you're going to do it. Do you know why you're going to do it the whole game?
Is it a team game?
Yeah. Cool. So what we're going to do, everybody get the ball to Anna. Stand over here. Cool, see you on training next week. We're going to practice all the stuff, but in the game, stand over here. Anna, go score. Stand over here. Is there anything else we can do on a Friday night? I don't want to play this basketball, you know what I mean? So you don't do it because you're playing a team game and you're trying to involve everybody. However, I do acknowledge that Anna's important. So in these last 8 seconds, I'm going to try and exploit the fact that we have Anna. But through the duration of the shot clock, I don't just have Anna. We can create iPhone 13s. And it could be the simple fact, everybody knows who Anna is, so they go double team Anna. So now somebody else just gets a wide open shot. Well, we're going to take that wide open shot the entire game, and Anna's done nothing but stand on the floor. I had a girl when I first started coaching girls basketball, Zoe Kensington, who was a phenomenal female basketball player. And we went to a national tournament, everybody knew who Zoe was. The opposition coach put 2 people on Zoe for the entire game, even if Zoe didn't have the basketball, which was give that person credit for trying to think of solutions. So my solution was Zoe stood at halfway and 2 people defended her, and I just play 4-on-3 for the entire game. And I just live with, like, we're going to get wide open shots. I'm happy with all these wide open shots. And Zoe had her lowest scoring game, and they lost by 30 or whatever that was. Do you know what I mean? Some credit to the coach for thinking, okay, but then also not sort of adjusting because it wasn't just the Zoe situation. So yeah, you try and play a team game, but you are aware of who's on your team, and watch people allow you to be the most efficient you can be. And when she's saying that Anna or Beth attack, she's doing that based on, I believe they're more efficient at doing that than I am doing that. So let's get these efficient people. Once again, searching for an iPhone 13. They provide us an opportunity for the iPhone 13. That matters. So now all I'm trying to get you to do is think about that in your group. What are these good shots? And then construct drills for that. I'm going to show you a drill and how I used to do it and how I do it now based solely on the value of the corner three. So we're now going to get our volunteers up here. They are going to run around, so you're good to go. There is a game, a real 3 people on defense, 2 people on defense, 3 people on offense. Cool, start. Stand can you stand on the edge of the cube over there? The edge of the outlets. Yeah. Cool. A traditional game would be, we call it like a 11-man break or 3-on-2, where 3 people will attack 2 people and try and find an open shot. The game works then that whoever rebounds the basketball, they join the first person on each line and they play 3-on-2 back. So my philosophy used to be, I didn't care about the transition. I cared about that little acceptance ball. I just thought my team was better at that than your team. So I wanted to really utilise that. So in this instance, Alan, you might out there on the side. Oh, you might go around the camera.
Oh, me personally?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Will, you're on this. These 3 people attack these 2 people. Isaac does an amazing move and he gets to the rim. So now, as we should say, we're going to rebound. We're going to rebound. No, drop it. We're going to rebound. These rebounder, the first person out of bounds, are then going to play 3-on-2 this way. This is what I used to do. Rebound the basketball. You can just get back a second. I wanted these 2 people to run towards the ball. Let's assume Alec is the point guard. But if you threw the ball here, I would then want you to realise that Alec was our point guard, and I would want you to throw the ball there. You would run that way because you passed that way, we would run that way, and we would create our 3-on-2 going that way. Do that for me one more time. Just walk through, just walk through. So there was 3 people attack 2 people, go. We then got a rebound, and it was all about a pass here. Cool, great. Based on that, how serious was I at getting that ball? Not that, because these guys need to think about, right, who am I passing the ball to? I've got to make this pass, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. So if they're thinking about where they need to be, they aren't thinking about being the fastest in the world. Whereas now, if you truly run in threes, that is the most incorrect way of doing that drill. So now, same thing happens. This time, let's defeat Isaac this time, so he passes it to somebody else. So, cool, one of you cut. Go, cut, go, cut. Cool. So now, yeah, score somehow, shoot somehow, do something. Now, this is our velocity cut. These people get to those corners faster than light itself. I don't care who this person is, you push the ball faster than light itself. The exact same drill. One way I am truly saying quarter three to iPhone 13. Get the ball there, or get somebody there, fast as humanly possible. The other way, get the ball to the right person, you go here, you go here, you go here. So if they're all thinking about, I've got to be on this side of the court, and the two men has to be on that side of the court, and we have to pass the ball to one, you aren't valuing the first 8 seconds. Not wrong, but you aren't valuing the first 8 seconds. Whereas if you're like, get to a corner, kick the ball ahead, and if they don't argue, you shoot that, you've now put this true value on the iPhone 13 in the corner. Like true value. Same drill, done different ways. Whereas what you're saying is I value that shot. Does that make sense? And I can drill it to say, get to the corner. And what happens is we get imports in, and they're this person here, they're the guard. So they think they have to hang around for the ball. And I'm screaming at them, get your to the corner. And they're all hanging around, which means they don't truly go to get the corner through as well. And the ability to sprint to the corner. So they used to do, talk about this there used to be a thing called a running break, where the two men would get to the right side, three men would get to the side, four men would run to the rim, five
I'm just trying to get
the. So you think about these players are all like, right, I'm the two, I'm here, I need to be over there. Like, how fast are you truly going to be? Whereas now, we talk about, as soon as we get the ball, get to the closest sideline and get to the corner. So never cross the court, just get to the, whatever sideline is closest to you, get to that and get down. And we emphasize width. Because if you think about, if you emphasize width, it allows the point guard to see the paint. And if there's no one in the paint, the point guard can go there. But if your players are busy crossing the court to get to, well, I've got to get to this side, and I've got to get to this side, and I've got to get to this side, well, the paint's never open, ever. So you're never going to get that iPhone 13. And so you've abandoned the first iPhone 13. And as I said, when I was at Girls High, I abandoned the first iPhone 13. I didn't care about the first iPhone 13. I was adamant that if I ran my offense against your offense, I was going to get better shots, and I was going to win. Once again, not wrong. But that's not, it just proved that I didn't value the randomness of offense. So, first 8 seconds, what are you going to do? What are you going to say are iPhone 13s? And how are you going to demonstrate that to your players? And then, are your drills lined up with your philosophy? If I truly value it, then it doesn't really matter who has the ball. We have to go. But why are the Tall Blacks different to your school team? My argument is the Tall Blacks, the difference between the 8th person and the 4th person on the Tall Blacks is pretty slim. At your school team, there could be a massive difference between the 8th person and the 4th person. So if the Tall Blacks do this and they sprint to sidelines and sprint to the corners, and their 8th guy gets 3 corner threes in a row, it's all right. Like, he's in the Tall Blacks. He's pretty good. And we're happy with that. You're at your school, you've got these couple of high-end players, and you've got a couple of people with their drop-off. They run your rules. Now your 8th person has taken those 3 threes. 2 of them have gone behind the backboard. Ooh, what are you going to do? Are you going to, if it's a rule, you can't do anything about it. You have to, great shot, great shot, great shot. The benefit, you're building confidence in, in that person, because they're being told they're shooting a good shot and they aren't going to be results driven. Like you can shoot great shots and the ball doesn't go in, and you can shoot bad shots and the ball does go in. So you're trying to get them to understand what a great shot is. The negative transformation is, what if your team loses a lot and they don't have a winning culture? That's probably the negative part of it, do you know what I mean? So what's more important at your age? Do you know what I mean? And it's easy for us to say, you can't shoot that three, so don't shoot that three. And then when you coach an under 19 team, you're like, no one can shoot a three. So yeah, it's because every coach has told them they're not allowed to shoot threes. So you have to get them to go, right, these shots are valuable, let them do that. And it's not going to, may not pay for us long term, so therefore I don't want that quick three, but I will allow threes because threes are valuable. So what rule can I put in place? And I came up with the, you generate a three versus take a three, or a paint pressure rule three. That lets kids shoot. Shooting is the most valuable asset we have in the country. If we can't do it, we can't win.
So I'm just trying to understand, on a fast break offense, and
Yeah.
you get the ball to the corners. Are you saying the first option is that three, or if you've got a trout coming through from the
Yeah, so effectively, not only do I know that corner threes are valuable, the person I'm playing against knows that corner threes are valuable. So if I sprint to a corner and throw it to a corner, somebody more than likely is going to sprint to that person. Because they were back on defense and they ran out to defend that, I could potentially now cut through, get the ball back and shoot a layup.
Because that's a high percentage.
Yeah.
That layup is your 13, isn't your 3-point, your 10?
Corner threes are supposed to be 13s, but yes, but there is a, like, you can see on for the Mountaineers, corner threes weren't iPhone 13s, they were iPhone 10s. And the straight on three was an iPhone 13. Do you know what I mean? And so at this, numbers matter.
So I guess what I'm saying is, you might get the ball to an open shot there.
Yes.
But if you've got a better percentage on the layup, aren't you better to get it back into the layup if you can?
Yes.
But that's the first option.
So that was why, so in the New Zealand framework, they just say take corner threes. And I'm saying that's probably a little bit risky for most of the teams that we play. Like corner threes are valuable, and you may put corner threes as iPhone 10s. Do you know what I mean? So it's still a really good shot, and if we can generate an iPhone 10, we'll take an iPhone 10. But what you're sort of after is, so the New Zealand system says 8-8-8. And I'm like, well, with 7.5 seconds left, do I really want somebody just jacking up any shot they want? Do you know what I mean? Because if I have a 13-year-old boy, he's going to hold the ball for 10 seconds, and as soon as it comes under 8, he's going to go step back to and shoot a long two. It's got no chance of going in, but he's like, oh, but it's in the last 8 seconds, we just take whatever open shot we can. Do you know what I mean? Because boys will figure out any way for them to take the shot that they want to take. And so I wonder, is it a 6-12-6? In the first 6 seconds, we're taking like layups. This 12 seconds in the middle, we're running an offense. So we're now going to take some corner threes or some field goal. And then in this last 6 seconds, we're just going to sort of get the best shot we can get. That could change in different age groups. But the concept that these kids know that there's phases to a shot clock, and you're explaining to them what we are looking for in different parts. So with the under 15 boys or my junior A boys at school, we would just kick to the corner and shoot it. Right? We were just like, sweet as, we're fine. They inherently were a good shooting group. Were they a good shooting group because we encouraged them to shoot? Like maybe. Do you know what I mean? Like just get there, shoot it, get there, shoot it, shoot it. And so was that why they're good? I can't answer that, but inherently they were a good shooting group. So we just take that corner through, take that corner through, take that corner through, and we shot it efficiently enough to beat teams. But that's 15-year-old boys that had been taught how to play basketball, so they weren't very self-centered. That group wasn't self-centered, like they were very much aware of we're playing a team game. And we valued that. And we valued it in the fact that we played our school final. We valued open threes, third quarter, got my 9th guy in, somebody penetrates from the opposite side, help comes, we throw it to the corner, help comes, we throw it to our 9th or 10th dude, gets a wide open shot. As soon as he caught that, our whole bench starts standing up because he knows he's about to shoot a wide open 3, and our team valued wide open 3s, and we didn't care if the ball went in or not. So we then came up with the concept of that we praised on the raise. So when you raised up to shoot it, we were just already saying great shot. So that kid was never like, it's a great shot because of you were wide open, and if you miss it, that's irrelevant. It did not make that not a great shot. So our kids learnt the value of open shots and not the result of the ball going in or not. That took time. That takes a couple of years to sort of kids to like, we're just hunting these perfect shots, and anytime you take a perfect shot, we just praise you, and if we miss 100 perfect shots, no one says anything. We just, that's a great shot, that's what we're after. So we just, these are efficient, take these shots, these are poor, don't take these shots. So you get subbed out for making this shot, you get applauded for missing this shot. You know what I mean? I get it when it was horrible. Yeah, and it takes time. You know what I mean? So I had a good group of kids at school and through reps for like 2 and a bit years.
That's what you're saying, that like raise.
Yeah, praise on race. We got a paint penetration, we got a extra, so when they went to the corner guy, we made the extra pass to a wide open person, and no one cared that it was 9th, 10th, you know, no one cares. Like, that's awesome, they're all standing up, and of course he makes it, and he's going to do his little, you know, whatever they do nowadays.
Confidence builders too.
Yeah, because like you tell, so Will is 13s, eh? So Will's 13s. Will wants to be good at basketball. So if you constantly tell him don't, versus we want you doing this, we want you doing this, we want you doing this, what happens to his confidence in those two environments? So that's what I mean when you come up with your iPhone 13s, like truly know what you're saying, and then just value those iPhone 13s and praise regardless of results. And that's what I mean. If you say a corner 3 is an iPhone 13 and your worst person takes 6 of them in a row, you better be up there clapping every single time. Every single time. Yeah, so praise on the race. Really, really important. It's another Zekoism. So now I'm going to do a little bit of this. So let's get, I just need 5 of you. Yeah. So we've talked about, let's do this, well, come here, so now I don't go, you know, we talked about we talked about if you do this, you're a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3, 2 start over here, 3 start here, 4s must be here, you are inherently taking away transition. So I do this, I have 1 guard, I have 2 wings, and I have 2 forwards. That's it. All wings be a wing, forwards be a forward. Doesn't matter. Now we've talked about you must get to corners and play width. We don't really care where you are and what you do. So let's assume the 2 girls are wings and the 2 forwards, the 2 boys are forwards. Go up. So they happen to be on the same side of the floor on defense. So they'll come down the same side of the floor. Yeah. So you 2 go. Cool. So now it's my job, if we are, we've got a guard to the ball and we've got 2 wings and 2 forwards. What naturally could I flow into that has this floor spacing? Like, what is something that we can possibly do that gets them into a trigger or an action to get into an offensive system? And then I found out, I'm a maths person, there's a finite number of ways these people could be aligned. I could have 2 wings, 2 forwards. I could have a guard, wing, Will's always got a guard. Cool. This is slightly a different alignment. I've now got there. I just come this one, go there. Cool. It's another slightly different alignment. But I know there's a finite number of these. It's not an infinite number of possibilities. So all I have to do is come up with a system that can flow in from wherever these guys are. So we could come up with a system, if there's ever a forward ahead of the ball, try and do this thing. Cool. If there is a forward behind the ball, try and do this thing. Do you know what I mean? And there's a finite number of places these people could be. When you've got a young age, there is no positions. It's just you're playing basketball. And you could be a 5 out, and all you want to do is, the only thing I'll briefly touch on, we're going to do more of this in our other seminars, is double gaps and single gaps. Cool. Can you mark the corner for me? If you play a 5 out offence, effectively these are all called single gaps. Where would you stand? Ball stand or who would you stand? You don't have to represent the same. If William is to attack a single gap, two things happen. He turns the ball over, and if he doesn't turn the ball over, he turns the ball over. That's all that happens when you attack single gaps. So when you play 5 out, inherently you've got single gaps. They can't attack single gaps. They think there's no one marking the paint, they never get to the paint. So if you're playing 5 out, you need to create a double gap. A double gap could be, can you hit Isaac? Can you slow down? Now on the screening down action, Isaac has double gaps to attack, correct? Because I've now gone away from this play. Or, as you come high, you now have a double gap to attack. So a simple, some type of pass and screen away, or screen down, or depending on your age, flare screen, create a double gap, and you're just playing basketball, knowing that as we're playing basketball, if we can't get anything that we want, an iPhone 10, iPhone 13, then late in the shot clock, let's get back to our person that allows us the best chance to get to an iPhone 13. So that could be, in this instant, it might be, let's just let Will and Isaac run a ball screen, and everybody has space around that. And that's just based on personnel. It could be, we've got the fastest player in the universe here, get her the ball, everybody get out of the way, let her attack. As help comes, she'll just make the right decision. And then we're good to go. We're just playing basketball. We'll talk about more of that in other sessions. But for university, so real simply, these are, two boys are our forwards. Two boys are our forwards. Two girls are our wingers. So this could just be a random alignment. I'm going to show you how we shot threes from the top and how our team struggled at getting these as efficiently as we could. We've valued corner threes, so out of this random alignment, if I throw the ball to the corner, we have got some type of pressure on the corner because these are high value shots. Will's going to act like he's going to cut, and then Will's going to pop by. We've established in our group that we want no wing setting screens, we only want our forwards or our bigs. As this happens, you go to the low spot, and you get high, and you get throw it at Isaac, cut off Isaac, get it back, throw it high, the ball's through him, going back. Cool. So that's an offense. That's just a random offense where we move some people around, and we terminated with our point guard and a forward and a ball screen, and we deem that as a valuable way to generate an iPhone 13. Our mount is the front on three. What did we shoot that as? Like 38%? Cool. So that's shot purely out of this set. We'll go back, come back to the wing. can you pop back in here for me? Yeah. Can you defend this ball screen? I defended this wing. If we ran this ball screen and Will went this way, what do you have to do on the ball? You're to contain the ball. Will win penetration. What do you do? As this person dove, one of these people has to help on that, correct? So I will help. Now, there's one more person, Alan, who was defending the corner person. So we'll go back a step. I'm defending this wing, Alan's defending the corner, we get to a ball screen. As you come off the ball screen, that person's there, I'm going to take this diver, Alan has to defend too. All we did was stretch the take two. So get deep, deep. And we just threw it back to that person there. And Alan can't mark these two people, we just shot that. Simply off, kick the ball, cut through, get the ball back, ball screen. This person was a shooter, so this is one of our numbers. So, and we shot this at 38%, which is 114 points. 114 points per 100 possessions, which makes us high. But you know what we would do? We would take some random shot just before we got to this. That was not 114 points per 100 possessions. And I would constantly just say, just have fractional patience. There's this iPhone 13 waiting right there. And we want to grab that iPhone 8 with a cracked screen. And your job as you deal with basketball is how can I construct something out of randomness that gives them a little bit of direction without me saying, you've got to get to this side, you've got to get to this side, you must be here, you must be here. So I've then realised I can value the first 8 seconds and I can still influence the next 8 seconds by then just using, and if we then Will's ball screen as a very valuable iPhone 13 because he's going to draw help, then we finished with a very, very valuable shot. And generate that. If we didn't get that, it's because Alan followed her, so then what would she do? She'd throw the extra in the corner. As soon as she threw that pass, we'd all be praising on the raise. And I would normally get her to actually voice confidence to Isaac. So as you're throwing this, what would you do to help Isaac's confidence? Shoot that. Yeah, tell him to shoot. Takes all decision. Isaac's like, I've just missed 2, and she's going, shoot that. He now shoots that with confidence. Let's all assume that when somebody's telling you you're really good at something, you do that better than if somebody's telling you you're the worst person ever doing this and never ever do that again in your entire life. Probably isn't going to work out too well. So that then becomes that coaching element, and we're about to do, and one of our other seminars is all about constructing offences out of 4 alignments. But that's effectively hunting our iPhone 13. Cool, thanks. Hunting iPhone 13s. And no matter what age group you have, let them know this is what we are trying to get. And in this first part of the shot clock, just take these things. Now in this next part, okay, cool, let's work on some mid-range shots because we're young kids and shooting the ball's important. So yeah, we'll take any of those. Okay, now we're late shot clock. Okay, we just have to leave the store with the phone. Doesn't really matter the state of the phone. They then have clear definition of what is accepted as great shots, what are good shots, and what are so-so shots. And the problem is you don't want them taking so-so shots before they even looked at a great shot. Like, don't walk out, just because I hand you an iPhone 8, like there's an iPhone 13 sitting right there. Be patient. No shot clock, you're about to get an iPhone 13. Like, does that make sense? So then this is these guys, when they make a rep team, or they should all understand from each coach every year, what are the shots we are hunting? And I should be able to say to them, like, what does your team value as iPhone 13s? and they should be able to say this, this, and this. Cool. How do you, what person or thing do you run at the end of the shot clock that best allows you another iPhone 13? And based on their team, it could be, oh, we isolate for Anna, or we run balls through for Xavier, or, do you know what I mean? Sacred Heart had Raquel, throw her the ball. That's going to be, that will change as you change teams with your coaching. How you hunt the best iPhone 13. You can come up with a how we play in the first 8 seconds, and this is what I'm hunting, and this is what I'm doing. Questions? I talked way too much and I didn't get enough feedback.
It's a patience game though, isn't it? Because I started the year with kids that never had an iPhone before.
Yes, because we talked about this, and I'm like, iPhone 8s, iPhone 10s, it's like, what happens if a kid rocks up with a Nokia? Do you know what I mean? Like, he just, no idea what a good shot is. And so now it all comes down to your understanding of their pathway. So, obviously Xavier's my son, and I go, I can try and make him be this person at 6 and at 7 and at 8, or I can understand that he'll sort of be really good at 18 or 19, as long as I just don't skip any steps along the way. I have this time. I know at 18 and 19, this is what he should look like as a basketball player. So I don't have to skip steps. That now comes back to when you're teaching your young kids, I know the best things to get to shoot layups. And you've got to hunt layups as much as you can. But if you never allow them to shoot other shots, then they'll never be able to shoot them, and then you've now put a ceiling on this. And then people can get skillful at certain things. As in, like, this kid has really learnt about the value of corner threes. So we teach corner threes at Boys High. And as soon as we get the ball, you have to get to a corner, no matter what. And if it's not faster than light, you're probably in trouble. We were then at a rec trial. A coach made a comment, oh, that guy doesn't do much, he just seems to run to corners. And I'm like, you realise that's the most valuable thing you could possibly do right now, but the coach didn't, you know what I mean? He's like, oh, he's not really involved. I'm like, well, actually, the fact that he sprinted to a corner means somebody sprinted with him. Now we've got a primary dude, Beth, or like attacking one-on-one, and if help comes, that person's just going to get a wide open shot, and they've been set there, they're on balance, it's good to go. Like in range, on balance, in rhythm, we're good to go. And it was very interesting comment from a rec coach going, oh, he just seems to run to corners. Like, you realise how hard that is to get kids to do that? And PJ Tucker makes however many $1 million, he just runs to a corner. And
I guess that's our challenge, is to make sure that all the coaches understand
yes,
that we're talking French and not Spanish, that
yes,
we're all talking the same language.
the exact same language. And that's why you want to tell your kids to run to corners, because you know that that becomes valuable. However, I don't want to shoot that 3 just yet because you're 8 years old. But so how do I get you to go to the corner? And then how do I let you shoot it? Well, if I get you to the corner and it collapses it, and then we swing it to the other side, then I live with those consequences. And so I suppose my advantage is that because I'm involved at a high level, I was able to understand at a low level what worked at a high level, and not just take shortcuts that would work at under 13s that I knew doesn't work at under 17s. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, well, I know at under 17s this thing's valuable, so I'll just start teaching that to them now, so that they can do that, as opposed to, because we all know this, there's going to be some 10-year-old boy that's just physically stronger than everybody else, and he's just going to boy his way to the room, and you're like going, yeah, that's not always going to work, you need to work on a shot. It's like, but I can just get to the room. Like, well, you can, but eventually there's going to be somebody bigger and stronger than you, and then you won't be able to do anything because you've only worked on layers. So this is another conversation we had with Zoe Kensington, so this girl at school. We clashed a little bit. She was physically faster, and she was physically more gifted than anybody she played. So she could get a right-hand layup sort of whenever she wanted. So then I put a rule in place that was she wasn't allowed to shoot right-hand layups, which went down awesome, I'll tell you. And I'm like going, you're going to play, you're so gifted that you can play for New Zealand. When you play for New Zealand, When you play against Australia, you won't be able to get a right hand layup. I don't care that you think you can, you won't. And if the only thing you can do is get a right hand layup, all of a sudden you can't play against Australia because you don't have anything else in. So once again, I now make her take shots that she doesn't want to take. Part of her she doesn't want to take them is because she doesn't want to miss, because missing is deemed bad, and she is competitive. But me understanding, you know what I mean? Like, this is what you need to do. And so we go from argument, we go from discussing, and then I get a phone call in her year 13 year that she's just made the New Zealand team to play Japan in a home series. She brought me the teams, you know what I mean? And like, it made all the battles worthwhile. Once again, because I knew what to require up there. So all you're doing is when I'm coaching my 8 years old, what do they need to do at 13? Start touching that now, right? When I'm coaching my 30-year-old, what do they need at 70s? Oh, okay, shooting's valuable. Right. I have to bite the ball and let them shoot. You know? Now I may have to do a little bit more work on shooting form with this group because of the all yada yada yada. But it's valuable at that age. Just get me doing that now. I don't actually get good.
Oh no, I was just thinking, I guess the other valuable thing about going to the corners is even if you don't take a shot, you are spacing and using the whole court. So you're creating those.
That is the benefit. By going to a corner, everybody knows it's valuable, somebody will go mark that person because it's a valuable shot. Now, the primary person has more space because of your secondary person is taking a defender out of the way. If that secondary person stands up here, they don't get marked as slightly. So it's good to go. So there's a guy in the NBA, Kyle Korver, who's not in the NBA anymore. He's just traditional white boy, shoots the ball really, really well. And then they were doing a thing on this. He scores about 13 points a game over the last few years of his career. But the coaches said you had to defend him like he scored 30 points a game because he was so valuable with his three-point shooting that if you didn't defend him, he would get 30. And if you did defend him, he got 13. So although he was only getting 13, he brought all of this attention to himself, which allowed the primary dudes to do what they need to do, because as soon as you didn't help him, whack, whack. So shooting's valuable, it just is. So giving kids confidence at a young age, understanding that under 8s, it's probably not a corner 3, it could be a short corner, do you know what I mean? But that flattening the defense out, that doesn't change no matter at what level you're at. So sprinting to it is a corner, but you might like get to the corner and as the pass comes, like step into your range, do you know what I mean? Like whatever you're putting in to best help your players at that level they're at. But getting out wide, getting deep, allowing as much space as possible so as people can attack space. Because if they attack space, they can shoot layups. If they attack congestion, they can't shoot layups. So effectively I was always trying to stand where you don't want to score so as you can then free up the area that you do want to score at young kids, and most of us are sort of dealing with those young kids. So these kids are all at the level they're at, and they should be aware of who's not allowed to shoot threes. Me? So they're all like, yeah, why are you allowed to shoot threes? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and they just have to work on, right, that's a good shot. We take good shots. That's all you're trying to do. Let these kids know what a good shot is. Yeah.
So you got two dudes running to each corner.
Yeah.
At what point would you suggest that dude can actually cut to the rim off that corner if he's supposed to be running there and waiting for that?
Okay, so the New Zealand rule is get wide, get long. The only way you can break your spacing is if you get behind the defense. So I'm running wide, I'm running long. The last line of defense is higher than me. Now I can cut. I don't want to cut to the lane if there's somebody behind me.
No, but I mean from the corner
yeah.
itself.
So you have to maintain your spacing. You can't break your spacing. Why would you cut? So now you start looking towards a good time to cut. If the person marking you has their head turned, we automatically cut off that. And then sometimes, and this takes a slightly higher level, Right? Anna comes down and you see Anna has a mismatch as far as a skill, size, strength, speed, whatever. This is a single gap. So what should that person do? If they cut, they're cutting with the sole purpose of creating a double gap for Anna. So at young age, it's always like cut. It's like we'll use a cut with a purpose. So you're either cutting because you have, we call it a head turn advantage. The person marking you's turn the head, cut, and score. The other time you cut is to create space for someone else. And sometimes we had a guy in the Mountaineers who would be considered an average player. He was elite at knowing when to cut, and he was an elite wing defender. So he had all of this value, couldn't really score offensively, but he had all of these other things. We were like, oh, that guy's got an advantage. The best thing I can possibly do is take my guy somewhere else to exploit that advantage. And all of your teams are going to have a kid that's slightly bigger. You're trying to get that kid more space. Then you're trying to teach him, when you have more space and help comes, throw the ball to the open person, because that open shot is an iPhone 10. Your contested, mid-rangey, jibby-jabber, whatever you just threw up, could be a Nokia. Or at worst, at best, it's an iPhone 8. So once again, you're now giving them open shots, contested shots are down here. I don't care that you are, that's contested, that's not as good as that person being open. And if kids understand that, they want to please. You know what? They want to play. So if you tell them, like, oh, you do these things, you play a lot, and if you take these shots, you don't play, they figure it out pretty quick. Well, I want to play. I'll just do the things that the coach wants me to do, because then I get to play all the time. None of them are out there like, damn it, I'm taking this shot just to spite the coach. Like, they just don't know. Like, that's inefficient. And when you tell them the Warriors, the greatest offensive scene, if they shoot a shot in the last 8 seconds, it's at 35%, which is like me blindfolded kicking the ball from halfway. You know what I mean? Like, when you deliberately let the shot clock wind down, you are getting worse. So take quick shots, take efficient shots, and then as a coach, reward the iPhone 13s regardless of results. And then you just find that kids start working on those shots naturally. Like, they just start shooting more and more corner threes, because they're like, oh, every time I shoot a corner three, my coach has clapped. He made me, but he's never even told, oh, I'm getting sick of missing these shots, so I might as well start making them, because I'm always allowed to shoot. Kids figure that stuff out.
Is it always the corner three?
No, so I'm saying, so our front on...
Threes on general, pretty sweet.
Yeah, so at a high level, 38% makes it like uber efficient, 34 to 38 makes it good, and then anything under 34 makes it poor. So if you're in that 34 to 38, you are considered good. If you're above 38%, you're considered like really, really good. So I would argue with us, we should have shot more fill behind threes at 38%. We should have shot more of them. The only shot we shot poorly was the right wing, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just looks like in general. I mean, compared to what's coming up, it's,
And you
threes.
took that three a lot more too.
Yeah, and so you can see the left wing we shot at a high percentage, and that's that's Hayes Walking's left-handed, who's on that side of the floor a lot, and he happened to be a good shooter, so he took a high portion of those. Do you know what I mean?
So I mean, if we break it down to points, you've got 1/3, which was sort of 34%, that puts you on par with the 50s in the middle. So effectively, they are kind of turning into a paint.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, no, and
Good point. If you get 1 and 3, you're getting the same as getting 50%.
Yeah, 33% is 50%.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So at a high level, that's why that's as valuable as a dunk.
It's definitely changed since then.
Yes, but I'm saying at your under 10 team won't be, but you knowing, although you're under 10 now, you're not going to be under 10 forever. Eventually that corner three is valuable. How do I get you to understand the value of running to there whilst not just taking 100 corner threes as a 9-year-old boy where 6 of them are going to go in? Because once again, at under 13 level, whoever shoots the most layup wins. Like, You know what I mean? Like, and at under 15 level, it still might be that. Do you know what I mean? It still might be the team that shoots the most layups. But what you're trying to say is if you sprint to the corner, the other coach know that's valuable, so somebody's going to go run to you. Now we can, as you said, go shoot that layup. Like it's the convincing people to mark areas, letting these guys know, and then you just have to let them shoot it. And then hopefully they figure out this is an important tournament. Maybe my 6% isn't as good as that guy's 30%, so maybe I should throw a pass. That's kids. But yeah, you're right. It's just maths matters, and trying to get kids to understand efficiency and what they're trying to do matters. And then they can, and once you give these kids direction on what they should be doing at what points and what they're hunting, they'll do it. But none of them out there like, screw you, I'm going to do what I want. They'll do it. And I think as the boys' high, I think the boys' high is not that much different. Do you know what I mean?
It's pretty similar.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's, so now it's just basketball. That's sort of what it looks like. But yeah, efficiency matters, and the shot clock changes the efficiency landscape.
What happens if we start telling young people to stop shooting in mid-range? For instance, like, you know, the amount of shots taken in mid-range are very slim. So, but what I'm saying is, for me personally, I'm a way better mid-range shooter than I am from the three.
Yeah.
I can hit a truckload more from the mid-range.
Cool. So this is so people say the mid-range game doesn't exist. It doesn't exist to inefficient players. So Chris Paul shoots mid-range shots at a crazy high efficiency rate. Chris Paul shoots mid-range shots. KD is phenomenal. He shoots mid-range shots. I am a bitsy player. So therefore, what I need to do is take the most efficient shots humanly possible for me to be effective on this team. So as an inefficient player, I can't take an inefficient shot. As an uber efficient player, I can take whatever shot I want. So girls basketball is slightly different. So Bailey Martin, is a girl I had at Hillside, she would shoot not from the elbow, but the elbow distance on the baseline. If she got that shot, that was a layup. Like, she'd never miss it.
It's a tough shot.
That was her spot, her distance, so if she took that, sweet as. None of the teams I've ever actually said, do not shoot this shot. By the voices of what you are clapping and what you are encouraging. So like a simple thing, like, the paint's worth 3, the threes are worth 3, everything else is worth 1. We're going to play with 11. Do you know what they're about to take? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they're like, well,